Because they possibly be. It's too bright. Oh man. Hi. That's fine. Where's me? Hi, Auntie. Uriel. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
It was such a nice view. What'd you close the curtain for?
Because there was a glare from the light that I have.
All right.
That's the only reason.
No. You doing all right?
Yeah, fine. How about you? Oh, Julio's coming in. Good. Cool. So we got a little time there, Uriel. How you been? How's the family?
Everybody's good, Dave. Thanks a lot. We're all hanging in there, you know. all healthy at least, thank goodness.
Oh, good.
How about yourself? How the kids?
I'm fine. Kids are okay. I don't see Seth anymore because he's not living here anymore. So, but yeah, he moved out a while ago. Seems okay.
He's in Bethlehem though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in town. He's still working at Kids Piece.
Oh, okay.
Hey. Right. So yeah, he's good.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Jim. All right.
Sergio, you didn't send me that receipt yet, did you?
No, I didn't pay that yet.
Okay.
So I'll do it soon.
I didn't miss it.
All right. So, hey, if anybody is interested, I got this book. It's Amber Ruffin. It says, "You'll never believe what happened to Lacey." It's a hilarious book about all the racist stuff that happens to her. I forget where she lives, but I want to say Omaha. I think she lives in Omaha. Amber Ruffin is on, she has a show on NBC, but it's her sister. One of the stories, the first story that turns out is she's at the grocery store and she signs a check. And she got these checks that were commemorative checks for Black history. And so she signs a check, she hands it over to the girl, and the girl says, "Oh my God, I can't believe you get your picture on your checks." And it was Harriet Tubman.
Oh man.
She doesn't look anything like Harriet Tubman, but that's just one of the many things. She was also like, they thought she was Whoopi. She went to some place in Colorado and they thought she was Whoopi Goldberg. They gave her free stuff, so it worked out. But and she didn't have the heart to tell the lady that she wasn't Whoopi Goldberg.
If you haven't seen the movie Harriet yet, it's worth watching.
Oh yeah, I saw it. We saw it. Yeah, it was good. All right. Hey, Fred.
Yes.
Fred, what's your last name?
Banuelos. Banuelos.
Hold on a second. BANUE
LOS.
LON. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Suzanne, what is your last name, Suzanne? He's connected to audio now. All right, she's still connecting to audio. Wow, she's still connecting. Holy crap. It's gonna take a while. Let me stop her for a second. All right. Hey, Suzanne, can you tell me what your last name is?
Hartzell. Hartzell.
H-A-R-T.
Z-E-L-L.
Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In central Pennsylvania and the Lehigh, backed by national strength, Capital Blue Cross.
12 single men, 12 single women. This is crazy. 4 couples on this island.
Oh,
Amy, I hear you met my friend Susan and her dog Scout.
Yes, in Fountain Hill?
Yeah, over at your house at a petition signing.
Yes.
I worked with her for about 25, 26 years.
Oh, wow. I'm glad it got back to you.
Yeah.
Rosemary, what's your last name, Rosemary?
We've been doing pretty well.
Good.
How have you been?
Doing well.
I can. Hensel. H-E-N-S-E-L. Rosemary Hensel.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, everybody.
Where are we at? Hey, Dave. Did everybody get the message that this meeting is being recorded? Okay, good. Well, it is.
Got it.
I have a question. The application for the Pennsylvania mail-in ballot, when are they due by?
Oh, good question.
Answer that, Kathy. I don't know the answer. I do it online, so.
What's the question?
When is the application for the Pennsylvania mail-in ballot due?
The application for the mail-in ballot, I think it's due.
So from what I'm
I
seeing,
have my list right here. Hold
on. By May 11th at 5 p.m., applications for mail-in or absentee ballots must be received by your county election board.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right, May 11th.
Are you able to drop them off like you did the last time if you wanted? Do you know?
Should be able to. We're working on getting that drop box back out there in Lehigh County. I'm not sure about Northampton County.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt Muncy brings up a good point. You might not want to wait right till the deadline if you're doing it through the Postal Service. The sooner the better, as always. I know just recently the Postal Service said that they can no longer guarantee an overnight delivery.
Okay.
Better safe than sorry.
For sure. Okay, thanks.
All right. We're going to have a couple minutes for folks to get in here. And then, we will get started.
I'm accidentally eating my dinner off screen.
Sort of.
Me too.
But I'm kind of eating it on screen too.
I said, now that you gave it away, you might as well just come on screen and
I might just
chew away.
Maybe I'll get a real close up of my mouth. What's in there?
TMI, TMI.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Who said that?
Johanna.
Hi, Johanna.
I'm going to trip myself off though. Nobody needs to see me eating.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. I need to prepare some dinner, but I will be here with all of you right now, listening intently.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey, Joan.
Hey.
Hi, Joan.
The question to all of you dinner eaters is did you bring enough to share?
Right.
Here, have some.
Especially dessert.
Here, have some.
Oh man.
Ooh, dessert. That sounds good.
Mm.
All right. So I think we are going to get started. Going to call the meeting to order for the March of 2021 LV for All meeting. I think this was the last meeting we had last year in person before everything sort of went away. So we're rounded the corner on that 1 year mark. But I just saw some good news about vaccine rollouts. So hopefully we can get back to being in person and not having any excuses as to why we brought dinner to the meeting very soon. So we always like to start with a welcome to new members. Is there anyone here for the first time that would like to introduce themselves? You can hit the raise your hand option on here or *9 if you're on your phone.
Does everybody know how to do the raise your hand option?
Or
Yes,
you can
no?
raise your hand on the screen and kind of wave it and I will call on you if you don't know how to do the other one. Oh, we have Stephen and Margaret. Go ahead.
So we've been lurking around the edges of the organization for some time, attending some meetings and helping out with some projects. We finally got around to sending in the check, so joining for the first time officially as members.
Well, welcome.
Yay.
Fantastic. Okay. Is there anyone else that this is their first meeting? Oh, go ahead. I see, is it Miss Springer?
Hi.
Hi, go ahead.
Dave, you won't remember me. I had met you. I was with Tuesdays with Toomey. And we decided that this would be a good group to join and get more active with as well.
Fantastic.
You were right. Yay!
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming out. Let's see. Is there anything cycle through here?
Dave, I just sent you, I sent a Brandon Huffman the link. I had met him at the petition signing 2 weekends ago, and I just sent it to him. So whether he gets the link and is able to get on, I don't know.
Okay.
His name is Brandon Huffman.
All right. Well, if he gets on, hopefully we can get a little shout out going for him.
He's on the mailing list because I had just seen him sign up. So
oh, good.
He should have gotten it. But
okay, great.
All right. Okay, so then the next thing we like to do is to say a quick hello to any candidates who are attending tonight. Even if you aren't slated to speak, if you just want to give a quick hi, what you're running for, and your name, of course. So I hope that if the candidates want to do the raise your hand, I can just call on who raises their hand first. Otherwise, you can just give me a little hand raise if you don't know how to do that. All right, I see Zach with his hand raised. Zach, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Zach Colborgi, running for District 3 Commissioner, Amy Zanelli's current seat. I know I'm slated to speak a little later, so I'll keep it real short and just say hi real quick. Thank you so much for having me back.
Okay, awesome. Welcome. We have Matt Turk. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. My fingers are cold, so the screen's not reacting that well. My name is Matt Turk. I'm running for mayor of Allentown. I'm going to be on the agenda a little later to tell you more about myself, but just wanted to say hello and glad to be here with everybody. And thanks to Dave and Kathy and Sergio and everybody for pulling this together. You guys are awesome.
All right. Well, thank you for coming out. Okay, next we have a hand up by Joyce Moore.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'll be talking later as well. I just wanted to say hi. I'm Joyce Moore, running for District Commissioner of Lehigh County, number 5. Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Joyce. Next up, I see Cece. Cece's hand raised.
Hey, everyone. I'll also be speaking tonight. I just wanted to say hi and look forward to the conversation.
Okay, fantastic. Now I see, Julio, go ahead. I think you're muted.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. I am also speaking later on today and tonight, and I would like to just say hi to everybody and thank you for having this forum. It's lovely. Nice to see all these people. Some of them, I know a lot of them actually.
Well, thanks for coming out.
My pleasure.
Now I see, Amy, go ahead.
All right. Hi, Amy Zanelli. I'm running for District Magistrate in 310106. That's West Michigan and Fountain Hill. I'm not sure if I'm slated to speak, but if I am, I will. And if I'm not, that's okay. Just here to hang out. Thanks.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. Am I missing anyone else that's running? Or is there anyone here just wants to say hi on behalf of a candidate? I can do that real quick before we get moving. Okay. And he said he would be on a little bit later, but I know Patrick Palmer, running for Allentown City Council, was going to hop on this meeting tonight. He just texted me to let me know that. I'm not psychic anymore. Okay, so then the next thing that we want to do is, if Jim is on, can we get the Treasury report?
Okay, Treasurer's report as of March 1st, 2021. Our total balance between our banking account and PayPal, $5,669. We currently have 102 paid members. Through the first 2 months of the year. That's ties the most members we've had in the 5 years that we've been doing this. We had 102, I believe, 2 years ago.
Nice.
For those of you that don't know, our membership dues is $15 a year, and it's for the calendar year, January 1st through December 31st. Being a paid member allows you to vote for our endorsements and some other things. Ways you can pay through PayPal by going to LehighValleyForAll.org. It's LV4all.org. We have a PayPal account. You could send a check to my home address made out to Lehigh Valley for All. And I put my home address in the chat for this meeting. It's the first entry in the chat. So if you just put Lehigh Valley for All with that address, I will get that mail. If you really, really need to, you can try Venmo. We have a Venmo account. Personally, I hate it. I would prefer that you not use it, but if you have to, go ahead. And that's it for my report. Does anybody have any questions?
Jim, can you repeat the balance that you mentioned at the beginning?
Sure. Total between the banking and the PayPal account, $5,669.36.
Okay.
Thank you.
Awesome. Anyone have any questions?
Great,
Okay.
thanks.
Thanks, Jim. All right. So before we go any further into the agenda, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to everybody that helped us with the petition signing events the last 2 weekends. Whether you were running out to the car or you were organizing the packets inside, or you're doing some of the work beforehand to make sure everything was getting coordinated. I just really want to give a big shout out to everybody. LV for All was in Northampton County 2 weekends ago, and then Lehigh County last weekend. I just want to give a huge thank you to everybody. You all deserve a round of applause for coming out and helping. All right. And so then the next thing is that I wanted to cover, we are still trying to help out our friend Jessica, who is in the Army Reserves and was called up for duty. We're doing a meal train, trying to drop things off, food off for her family, to try to feed her kids, some like home cooked meals or otherwise some good nutrition while she's serving our country. So Kathy, do you have any updates on that?
Am I not muted? Okay, good. Yeah, no, there's still about 6 or 7 Sundays left. And I think that Sergio said he was going to put in the chat the link to go on the meal train, and then you can just look and see. Yeah, okay. So there's the link that you guys can just go on and see which days are still available and just sign up for one of them. And it's like a home cooked meal and maybe a few extras, you know, some bread and lunch meat or something like that for them to help get through the week. So if anyone is willing, and if there's somebody who wants to, you can also donate money there. So if you want to donate money, we can give them that to buy food. Or if you want to put something all together and have somebody else deliver it, we can also do that. So just let us know. We're just trying to make sure that they're covered every single Sunday between now and when their mom gets home, which I think is the last Sunday in June.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay, and so folks could either go through that or contact you if they have any questions.
If you need help, you can contact me and we'll help. We'll make sure it works out.
Hey, Kathy, can I say something real quick about that?
Yes.
When you go on the site, it's actually really nice. You can say what date you want to do it on, and you tell them what it is you want to send or you want to bring to them. Also, it'll put calendar reminders in as well, so it's really helpful. So it makes it as easy as possible. So I think it's a great, nice little website that will do all kinds of neat little things. That's all.
Yeah. Good.
And we had a question. I know we want to try to keep the address private, but all right, awesome. Jim, you got on top of it. Wilson Borough. Okay, thank you.
That's Easton. They live around Easton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually closer to in Palmer Township, Wilson Borough. So not all the way down in downtown Easton.
Yeah, right.
All right, awesome. Okay, so then we want to talk a little bit about the endorsement process. That's one of the big things that we like to do as LV for All, is to find candidates that, you know, we think resonate with our group and that we can support to hold office. Any candidates that are out there that have not submitted their candidate form, that's available on our website. It's basically a form that you fill out alerting us that you are seeking our endorsement. Those are going to be due on March 23rd. And then we're going to have those due that's a week before the exec meets to review everything to make sure that we've gotten access to everybody. So the reason we set it due a week beforehand is so if we know of somebody that says, yeah, I sent it in and I got it, and then we don't see it in there, we can call that person and say, hey, I know you said you got it in, maybe you forgot to hit submit, or it, you know, got lost in the shuffle or something like that. So if you are requesting an endorsement from LV for All, we ask that you have that application in by March 23rd. All right, awesome. And if you have any general questions about that, you can feel free to reach out to me, or I'm sure any of our exec team would know what to do, or at least they direct you to someone who has. Some of the questions that we had on there were like, you know, what members do I get to fill out for the member that's suggesting it? And that could be anybody that you know in the group that you've spoken to, you know, and if you want to talk to me or Kathy about anything like that, then just feel free to reach out to us. We want to make sure that our folks have the largest breadth of opportunity to see which candidates they like. So we have a question in the chat about which addresses to mail checks to for dues. Jim, do you want to drop the information in there? Just give me a thumbs up if that's all right. Maybe he's going to get his dinner. Oh, here he is. Jim, you're muted right now.
The first entry in the chat is the address, 4130 Klein Street, Bethlehem.
Okay, awesome.
So if somebody could check and make sure that you're seeing it, because I put it there. So.
Okay. Yeah, and the reason that it's so important to get those dues in is because of the membership process, the membership requirement in order to be in part of the endorsement process. So you have to be a member in good standing, which typically requires that you've attended at least 2 of our meetings within the last year, as well as paid the membership dues. This year, it's going to be especially important because of how we're going to facilitate the ability for us to have a discussion about the candidates. So we're going to open up and Sergio knows how to do this. I don't really know how to explain the technicals, but we're going to be opening up a second room for our membership that's not going to be recorded, so that we can have, earnest conversations with each other about what we like or maybe dislike about certain candidates before we have our full vote. So that is going to be taking place at the April Lehigh Valley for All meetings. So that's next month. Any dues paying members that are in good standing at that point would be able to speak on behalf of any of the candidates. We'll explain more about the rules of, just make sure we're not there until 12 o'clock at night. Not that there's anything wrong with being there for 4 hours, but we just want to make sure that we have that going so that folks understand that we want to try to get a chance for everyone to speak. If people are dominating a conversation, we want to have a chance for those that might not necessarily have been able to express their views, be able to talk during that time. So make sure that you are, confirmed with your check or PayPal online with your dues. And if you're here listening to this at this meeting and you're here at the next meeting, then you're set for you're showing up to there. So you should be fine.
Dave, can I just jump in and make sure that they understand? So there will be a general meeting, and people who aren't members can come to the beginning of the Lehigh Valley for All meeting next month. They can speak about, if they want to present something about a candidate or whatever. And then all of us that are actual members that have paid will move to a separate Zoom call where only the members of Lehigh Valley for All in good standing will be allowed to be on that call and make their final speeches or whatever they want to say, and then do the voting. But in the beginning, the first part of the meeting, anyone can come and at the beginning and say whatever they want to say before we move to the second room.
And really that's just because we wanted to be a chance for folks to, be able to express themselves. Normally we have like the doors are closed and everything. And the candidates that we're going to have there that night, if they're members, they can be in discussions for all the other candidates, but we would politely ask that you're not in the discussion about your own candidacy. And also, if you are not a member at that time, we are going to, just because we don't want people to sit there for like 2 hours while we're in a completely different room, we're going to be announcing who we've endorsed on our social media platforms. I believe we were trying to get that out the next day. Yeah, that's what it was. So you don't need to sit around for 3 hours, biting your nails and wondering, am I going to get the endorsement or not? We will be announcing it uniformly, not like a one at a time kind of a thing, all the endorsed candidates the next day. So we figured that was the best way to do it, just because it's weird to try to figure this out with Zoom. Sometimes we'll have the candidates come back in after they've been endorsed, but we didn't want people sitting just looking at an empty room for a long time. So I know it's weird. That's the fairest way we came up with to try to do it. If any, we can tweak it if anyone has better suggestions than that. I know the exec board talked about this for quite some time at our last meeting. And hopefully by next year, we can go back to the original way of doing everything.
Dave, do we have a firm date for that April meeting that you're talking about?
Yes, so that's going to be our general meeting for April. That is April 6th.
Thanks.
All right. So let me see if I have any other notes I wanted to cover here, and then I can open up to any questions about that. No, does anyone have any questions about that process? And again, we'll be explaining it more in detail next meeting.
If you haven't yet requested an endorsement, you go to lvforall.org, and then there's an endorsement request form on there. And as Dave said, you know, you have to name 2 people that are in Lehigh Valley for All that know you, that would be willing to support you or whatever. Just put their names on there.
Okay. So has everyone signed petitions so far? Have they been able to get out there and sign petitions?
I want everyone to raise your hand if you've signed petitions already. Let's see. Yay.
All right. Okay. Oh, wow.
All right. Now raise your hand if you haven't
not signed your petitions already.
Raise your hand if you haven't signed petitions yet. Oh, Nancy. All right. I'm taking names. I'm going to tell you how you can.
I would love to. I just couldn't get out.
No, we'll bring it to you.
A virtual doctor's appointment when you were here in Bethlehem, and I would love to.
We would love to just bring one over for you to sign. We have lots of people that are willing to do that. Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I don't think I can see everybody that's on there. So anybody, Dave, do you see anybody else that needs to help getting a petition signed?
No one is.
If you need help, you can always just put it in the chat.
There you go. There you go.
Put it in the chat and let us know, and then we'll make sure we get to you. Good job. Yeah. That's like,
thank you.
99% of the people on this call have done it.
Yeah.
Those are my good little Lehigh Valley for All members. Yay.
And we'll get it. No, Nancy, it's all right. We'll get you.
Nancy had a good excuse. She was at a doctor's appointment.
That's true. All right. So if you haven't gotten a chance to sign it, and I know that we record these meetings, so someone's watching it later on, you have until the 9th, although really probably the candidates would want you to get them back to them.
You want to be done by Sunday. You want to be done by Sunday.
We really are saying if you want to get it signed, try to get it done by this weekend.
And if you know people who need to sign, there are several locations. There's a place in Allentown. There's 2 places in Bethlehem, and there's my house. They all have little bins on their porch where anybody can go and sign. And those are all listed on the Facebook page of Lehigh Valley for All, but also you can contact me if you want the addresses.
And if anybody lives in North Bethlehem, I'll still have them until you pick them up on Thursday. So tomorrow people could stop by my place, and I have 16 of them to sign.
Okay, awesome.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions about either the endorsement process or about the petitions? Okay, awesome.
Hey, Dave.
Oh.
I couldn't raise my hand fast enough. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It's Linda Vega. I tried to go on the website to find the candidate form, and I just didn't have any luck.
Okay.
It's in the header. It's called endorsement application.
Okay, I'll look again.
And if you want, Sergio, maybe you could get on with her afterwards. Linda, call us if you still aren't able to do it, and we'll make sure to hook you up with Sergio so you can make sure and figure it out, okay?
Okay, thank you. Now, can we fill this out electronically, or do we have to print it and manually fill it out?
Fill it out electronically and submit it.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Sorry.
No problem.
No problem at all. All right. So we have some fantastic speakers tonight. We want to get to make sure everyone has time to speak. They're all running for local office around here. Local government is one of the most interactive forms of government. I mean, unless you're a travel agent for Ted Cruz, but for traditional folks, that is the most interactive layer of government. And so we want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to get their voices heard. We're going to have a lot of very important decisions to make as a community and as a group. And we have to remember that the primary is coming up. We got May 18th is the day that we are going to be going out there to the polls. Well, probably a lot of people already have voted by that point in time. But if you haven't, that's the day to do it. make sure your voices are heard, and so that we can keep going strong. You know, we had a great success in 2020, and it's time to move forward into 2021. So tonight's speaker forum kind of setup is going to be, we're going to give each speaker about 5 minutes, and then they can use that time to give a speech, and then also going to have some time for questions. If you want to be more question heavy, you know, you can allot your time as is. If we don't have any questions, if you've completely blown everybody away, that's fine too. We get that a lot. People, you know, they're like, okay, I can look at the website, or I'll follow up with a question later. And as the candidates get done, if they want to just drop any contact information they want in the chat, that would be great as well. So we're going to start, I think, I'm trying to figure out the geography of this. I think we're kind of starting in the Southwest, and we're going to be moving up into Allentown through the Commissioner District, and then finally into Northampton County. So we're going to be starting with our speakers tonight from the 5th Lehigh County Commissioner District. And I know I saw her on here before. We're going to start off with Joyce Moore. Joyce, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Lehigh Valley for All, for giving me a chance to speak tonight. I really appreciate it. My name is Joyce Moore. I'm running for Lehigh County Commissioner in District 5. Today I filed my nominating petitions with more than twice the amount of signatures that were required. So I'm real excited. I am so excited about that. I'm still collecting signatures. So if you haven't signed my petition yet, please do. And I will bring the rest of them in next Tuesday. I've lived in the Lehigh Valley since 1977, initially settling in the Easton area before moving to Upper Milford Township in 1995. When I lived in the Easton area, I served in Glendon Borough Council for many years. I work as a financial advisor and an investment manager, and I run a small financial planning business where I specialize in socially responsible investing portfolios for my clients that wish to invest with their values. I have 2 adult sons who mean the world to me, and they live nearby. They live in Easton. I can't wait till COVID restrictions are eased so I can spend more time with them. Currently, I'm serving Upper Milford as a township supervisor, for which I was elected in 2017. I also serve on the Agriculture Security Committee for Upper Milford, and previously I chaired the Open Space Committee and served on the Emmaus Upper Milford Joint Environmental Advisory Council. Having been recently appointed to the Lehigh Valley Planning Commission, I look forward to learning more about land use, regional planning, transportation planning, and smart growth strategies. My 5 goals for Lehigh County are farmland preservation. I hope to continue the county's funding of farmland preservation to ensure that our children and their children will know where their food comes from and understand the importance of agriculture in our diverse economy. Open space creation with smart growth. While development is inevitable, it doesn't have to destroy our open space, parks, wildlands, and habitat. There are many ways to ensure that developers are given incentives to do the right thing. Fiscal discipline. I was trained as a bookkeeper in my teens and then later as a management accountant, and I worked for 10 years as a controller. As a single mother, I learned early on how to make sure that financial priorities are critical to maintaining my serenity. My 4th is creating a county health department. It seems that county health department is a critical component of infrastructure to help our community maintain our health. And then we add a pandemic to it. And boy, oh boy, it just makes it all more essential. St. Luke's Hospital and Lehigh Valley Hospital really are doing a great job, along with Allentown and Bethlehem Health Bureaus, are doing a great job with COVID testing and vaccine distribution, given the existing supply constraints. But who cares for the neediest, our unhoused, and those in our county who don't speak English? If we had a county health department, we'd know that healthcare availability was fairer and more equitable. Everyone in Lehigh County deserves to know how to access healthcare services, regardless of their circumstances. I'd like to take this on as a challenge to see how we can create opportunities to get this done without raising taxes. And lastly, I want to work to make Lehigh County a good place for working families, where everybody's labor is properly compensated. I also want to see everyone's civil rights respected, no matter what boat their ancestors came on, the place they worship, or who they love. I've been humbled by the support our campaign has received. I've been endorsed by Congresswoman Susan Wild, State Representative Jeannie McNeil, Lehigh County Executive Phillips Armstrong, Lehigh County Commissioners Jeff Brace, Dan Hartzell, and Bob Elbick. Also endorsing my campaign is Coopersburg Borough Councilwoman Danielle Thrapp, Salisbury Township Commissioner Heather Lipkin, and East Penn School Board Director Naomi Winch. I've earned the support of the Insulators Union 23 and the Lehigh Valley Roar. None of my goals will be possible without your help. I need phone bankers and poll watchers for the primary. Please go to moreforlehigh.com for more info and to sign up to volunteer. I hope to get Lehigh Valley for All's endorsement, and I ask for your vote on May 18th or earlier if you vote by mail. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you tonight.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? Let's see. Oh, that's a hand clapping. Okay, I thought that was a question from Nancy. All right.
Oh.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Joyce. Really appreciate you coming out and speaking with all of us.
I appreciate it so much.
Absolutely. And remember to drop any information in the chat for context. All right. Awesome. Oh, look at that. The timer's going off right now. Perfect. All right. Okay. So our next candidate is Omar Ray, also running for Lehigh County Commissioner in the 5th District. Omar, go ahead.
Hello, mic check.
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you. And thank you to Lehigh Valley for All for having me, for letting me speak. So my name is Omar Ray, and I'm running for Lehigh County District 5 Commissioner. And I grew up right here in Upper Saucon Township. My family has kept an address here for 30 plus years. And I've been an active citizen in this county fighting for equality, voting rights, and fairness for quite a while now. So I started out in politics since the 2016 election. He who will not be named motivated me to become an active participant in our democracy, which since January 6th, has looked a little more fragile than I originally thought. And in 2016, I started as a volunteer driver for the Democratic National Convention that came to Philadelphia, and then went on to be an HRC intern. So, but most of my work has been with volunteering, because I believe that it's not just the elections that change society. So I was a Bernie delegate last year, and Bernie Sanders lost, went on to vote for Joe Biden, and also a member of Make the Road, still am. We worked with, we went out in Allentown. I went out in Allentown, knocked on doors, asking people to fill out the census, went to them at the bus stops, asking them, annoying them to fill out the census. And we've also protested against the detainment of undocumented migrants in Berks County. And recently, they've released everyone in Berks County at that detainment center. So that's a win. And I've spoken to hundreds of people who feel like the two-party system has ignored them, and spoken to working people and spoken to them about what they want, and have done everything I can to take action to bring them dignity, equality, and respect. And it's one thing to advocate for these democratic ideals, but it's another to put the work in to get those ideals. And so I've attended many commissioner meetings over the years, and I've seen how the commissioners make decisions, and that's what has motivated me to run. I've seen the Board of Commissioners fail. I have seen them fail to pass an infrastructure bill that would have raised money that we could be using right now in this time of COVID-19. And I've also seen them fail to stand up to the district attorney. The district attorney got $1 million for incarcerating people. And then right after the district attorney, a teacher went up and just begged for a couple $1,000s for music education in Allentown and Lehigh County. I've also seen the good this board can do. They started a fund that will help county residents repaint their homes if their homes have been painted with lead-based paint. I have seen them make advancements on criminal justice reform. I've seen them do other things as well. But there's more to do. And we need bold action to do that. So it's time to end cash bail. Cash bail criminalizes poverty. It's time we need to invest in our communities. We need to put resources into addressing homelessness, into addressing mental illness, into addressing drug addiction, into addressing youth-related issues. When we invest in our communities, not just the penal system, we invest in ourselves. When we invest in our neighbors, we invest in ourselves. When our neighbors struggle, we all struggle. And many, some current commission and other people looking for office, they run on.
You got about 30 seconds, Omar.
They run on fiscal. I've seen some other websites and they look of other people running for office and they're talking about fiscal responsibility. That to me says status quo. I'm running for commissioner because I believe in putting the work in for a better tomorrow. I don't believe in the status quo, but I believe in bold action, bold ideas. And right now is the time for bold action. Right now is the time for bold ideas. Right now is the time for courage, for all these things that help working people and put working people first. And again, my name is Omar Ray, and I will put my information in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Omar. Absolutely. All right. So we have two fantastic candidates running for the commissioner district. Next up, we're going to hear from candidates running for Allentown mayor. So we're moving a little bit north up there. So the first candidate we have speaking tonight, I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock and then give him the floor, Julio Garidi. Go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you now, yes.
Thank you all for inviting me. Thank you, Lehigh Valley for All. I am actually running for mayor, finally. And as you know, I've been in council for the last 20 years. But first, I want to talk to you about who I am, who is Julio Garidi. I overcame childhood poverty and also living in the mountains of the Dominican Republic, where I lived with my grandparents for a while, and lived in a very subsistence type of lifestyle, where we had no bathroom, no toilet, no running water, lived in the mountains, didn't get into a car until I was about 8 years old. And the closest road to my house was about 1.5 kilometers, which is about a mile from my house. To get there, you had to walk. You couldn't go in cars or bicycle or anything. You had to either walk or go in horses. And then I moved to the capital, and that was a very difficult situation there. And talking about being hungry sometimes and not having anything to eat, that was a very poor family, very scarce resources. And I actually had an opportunity to move to Puerto Rico, live there for about a year. And then my mother brought us over to Bethlehem, Pennsylvania in 1975. None of us spoke a word in English, and was able to work hard and become a veteran politician in Allentown. and have been there for the last 20 years. I had a couple of businesses with my wife. They're all been successful. And I worked, my first job after college, when I got my master's degree, was actually working as a caseworker for Lehigh County Children and Youth. Then I became an executive director of a nonprofit organization in Bethlehem, Hispanic Center. I became an adjunct professor for NCC, teaching sociology. And I also became, moved up to become a vice president of Bank of America for a while. I didn't start as a vice president, I started as a management trainee. And then I worked where I am now, the Delaware River Joint Toll Bridge Commission. I'm a director of making sure that small businesses, minority businesses, women businesses, disadvantaged businesses, disabled, and small businesses themselves become eligible and also get a little piece of the pie of the millions of dollars that we provide to big companies to maintain and build our bridges and facilities. So that was being me, but I also being able to have the opportunity to work as a volunteer for many, many organizations, dozens of organizations in the Lehigh Valley, including the American Heart Association, Boys and Girls Club, the Red Cross, developed many other organizations like Latin Alliance, Latino Leadership Alliance, ACENet, and other organizations, including the Chamber of Commerce and working for the homeless and those who are hungry, Food Bank, being in CACOV, Community Action Committee of the Lehigh Valley, where we have several homeless shelters, and also providing food for them and making sure that we have a better life in the Lehigh Valley. So I did that, all those as a volunteer for our city and for our Lehigh Valley in general. I lived in housing projects first up in Bethlehem, South Terrace, and back in the 70s. Then from there, I went to ESU and IUP and came back. My family moved to Florida when I was about 19 years old. I stayed in Allentown by myself back in the early 80s. And didn't have a place to live for a while. I have a girlfriend actually paid $25 for me to stay a week to stay at a room in a place where there was a bar in the bottom and there were people living upstairs and many people actually sharing one bathroom.
Julio, you got about 30 seconds.
Oh, wow. So, okay.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you.
Yeah, so I will start talking about some of the things I would like to do. I'm looking at doing more prosperity for all, better quality of life and integrity in City Hall. I want to make sure that we have economic development. I want to make sure that we continue to develop businesses, small businesses, give people an opportunity to work with children, develop more a system where more children can grow to be better and to continue to have a prosperous life and provide housing and fight blight in Allentown and make sure that we can provide a better government for all. So I'll stop there and I will entertain any questions. And I also like to make sure that you can go to my website, julioguridiformayor.com.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. And does anyone have any questions for Julio? So raise your hand option or *9 if you're on your phone. All right. And I do just remember, I forgot to ask if anyone had any, first of all, thank you so much, Julio. I think you blew them away. Either that or they're just trying to digest in everything here. And I'm sure if you drop some contact information or more information in the chat, they'll be able to check more out about you. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
Awesome. And I do remember that I forgot to ask if anyone had any questions for Omar last time. Sorry about that, Omar. Someone brought that to my attention. But maybe you blew them away too. We have a lot of people who are here to absorb it all tonight. But I just wanted to give an opportunity. Okay. All right. Well, seeing none, then we will go on to go back into order here for the next Allentown mayoral candidate, and that is Cece Gerlach. Cece, go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, I'm glad I get to be here live tonight. The last time we had a city council meeting, myself and Julio. So thank you everyone for giving us another opportunity to make our case. So for those of you who don't know, I'm running for mayor of Allentown. I currently serve on Allentown City Council, and before that, I served on the Allentown School Board for 8 years, 2 of which I was the vice president. And you know, I think I've kind of ran through my resume enough at the different meetings over these last couple of years. So instead of focusing on that, I think what I'll do is just kind of start off with telling you a story that I haven't really shared too much about. There was a young man named Khalif. Khalif came here to this country as a refugee. As many people in Allentown come here either as an immigrant or due to war in their home country. Khalif was, I can't remember if he was 15 or 16 years old at the time, but I met him while I was on the school board because the previous administration wanted to shut down his school. His school is called, or was called, the Newcomer Academy. Now, the Newcomer Academy is a school for young people just like Khalif, new arrivals to the United States, to get them acclimated, to make them feel welcome, and to give them an opportunity to learn. So this previous administration, the previous superintendent, was trying to shut this school down. So I fought back, and I joined with the teachers, I joined with the cafeteria workers and the staff within the school. And we were able to, together, a bipartisan effort, Republicans and Democrats on the school board joined together, and we were able to save the school. We were able to save Khalif's school. And the reason I tell you that story is because decisions that we make in positions of leadership are about people. They're about Khalif, and they're about his family, and they're about the next generation that's coming to this country. So for me, leadership has always been about how the decisions that we make are going to actually have real world consequences for our families, for the residents in Allentown. So that's why back when the arena was still a hole in the ground, I got together with some residents. I live downtown. I live at 9th and Walnut. So I essentially got together with my neighbors, and we tried to figure out how can we make sure that we actually get these jobs that are coming to the arena and at the restaurants and the hotel and the other places that were opening up. So we protested, we organized, we met in basements of churches. And what started off as a protest actually turned into a collaboration. We worked with Nancy Dishanot over at Workforce Investment, Career Link, some people call it. And working together, we were able to put together an Allentown only jobs fair. We were able to get a job center set up right downtown. And we were able to actually get results. Over 80% of the people who were initially hired downtown were Allentown residents. And I won't take the credit for that. I just played a role, but I was able to get folks together, folks who traditionally don't have power, who traditionally don't make their voice heard. I was able to get them to stand up and turn a protest into a collaboration. At the end of the day, I'm a community organizer, the core of who I am. I bring people together. And that's one of the main responsibilities of a mayor, to bring people together. Just within 2 months of being on Allentown City Council, I was able to pass legislation that formed a commission on homelessness. And despite COVID and despite the heck of a year 2020 brought us, this commission is kicking butt. They are going to, in the month of, well, this month, March, they're going to be presenting their plan on how to end homelessness. We've got money allocated towards that as a city. This commission brought together CEOs and people sleeping in tents to strive towards one common vision. That's what leadership looks like. And if there was ever a time that leadership has been tested, I think this last year that we encountered, 2020, was it. And during a time when
about 15 or 20 seconds.
Gotcha. During a time when we saw people who were grappling with a pandemic, I went on social media. I provided guidance to them on what was going on. I have the personal, professional, and the political experience to actually take problems in the community and turn them into policy, bold policy, to actually help people and break down systemic issues. So I really hope to earn the Lehigh Valley for All endorsement. I know you all are out there on the streets, you work, you understand the issues, and if there's any questions, feel free to ask me, and I will definitely post my website and everything in the chat. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cece. Do we have any questions? All right, I see Kathy, go ahead.
So Cece, I just wanted to ask if you have some, you don't have to explain all the plans, but do you have some plans in your mind or in place or things you want to do that would be able to balance like business and economic development with caring for the at-risk population? Because you know, I still think that people are going to want to try and see if we can manage both. And what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, definitely. And see, and I'm glad you asked that, because it is more than possible to have thriving economic development, but not at the detriment of the residents. And the way we do that is through policy. We do that through policy such as inclusionary zoning, where inclusionary zoning says, yes, build, develop, but a certain percentage of the new residential units that are built for new people to move in, a certain percentage of them must go to working class people. The person who is serving you your food, the person who is managing the McDonald's. That's one policy. Another policy is a community benefits ordinance. A community benefits ordinance says, again, develop, please develop. But you have to have tangible benefits for the community: grocery stores, recreational opportunities, educational opportunities, again, workforce housing, green space, things that actually benefit people, not just developers. So it is more than possible. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, any other questions? Okay, and so yeah, Cece, just drop your information in the chat. And thank you so much for coming out tonight. With that, we will go to our next candidate for Allentown Mayor. That's Matt Turk. Matt, go ahead, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dave. And 5 minutes feels like an eternity based on the 90 seconds that we've had in the past and the 2 minutes that we've had in the past. But thanks for the 5 minutes. I'll try to keep it brief. I want to tell you a little bit about who I am. I want to tell you why I'm running for mayor here in Allentown. I want to tell you what we want to do. And I want to tell you why I should get the endorsement of LV for All. That'll come later. But just real quickly, who I am. My name is Matt Turk. I'm running for mayor of Allentown as a Democrat. Born in East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. My family moved to Boulder, Colorado when I was 9. Had a unique experience there living in student family housing and kind of a United Nations of sorts. Developed very close relationships with multiple families in our neighborhood. Got really good sense of what a progressive life looked like living in Boulder. Kind of grew up in the punk rock community there, but always was scheming to get back to Pennsylvania. My life took me across the country. I lived in Bellingham, Washington, Charleston, South Carolina, where my wife and I got married. Eventually was able to come back here to Allentown, where I've been for the past 15 years. Say hello to that dog. Spent the past 16 years here in Allentown raising my kids. Amelia, my 16-year-old, and Margot, my 13-year-old. Excuse me. For the past 12 years, I've worked in economic development, starting off at the Allentown Economic Development Corporation, and then moving to the Lehigh Valley Economic Development Corporation, where my job was to attract jobs and investment to the Lehigh Valley. In the past 4 years alone, we've seen 20,000 jobs come to the region as a result of some of the work that we did. Those are jobs for people. Those are jobs for people here in Allentown. Some of those jobs are specifically jobs that are available to people without a high school education, or excuse me, without a college education, which is about 85% of the population of Allentown. So I've been doing that for the past 12 years. I currently serve as the chair of the Allentown or the Lehigh Northampton Airport Authority. I served as treasurer for Old Allentown Preservation Association, a neighborhood group here in Allentown. My interests are in languages. I'm a Spanish speaker, speak multiple other languages, and I'm a marathon runner. Running here in Allentown is actually one of the things that helped me understand why I wanted to run for mayor. I got a chance to see this whole city and developed a passion for the whole city over the 16 years that I've lived here. Feel like I know every restaurant, eaten every slice of pizza I could get my hands on, and seen every corner of the east side and the south side, the wards, the west end. But why am I running for mayor? Because I think we can do better here in Allentown. What I've seen in my years in economic development is the difference between a successful region and an unsuccessful region is the engagement of leadership at the top. Engaged leadership brings jobs and investment to their region. I think we can do better together, engaging those partnerships. I'm glad that Julio and Cece jumped in here. Cece mentioned the Workforce Investment Board, now known as Workforce Board Lehigh Valley. Working on those partnerships to make sure that Allentonians have the skills they need for jobs of the future is critical. I want to make sure that Allentown's open for business, not setting up regulations that would make development difficult, but removing bureaucracy and around permitting to facilitate entrepreneurial development, helping new small businesses get started that improve neighborhoods. I believe we should apply Allentown for all. This is a city that's changed radically over the years. We need to make sure that the whole of the city is served appropriately by city services, and that's all of geographies and all of the people here. It's a 55% Latino city now. We need a mayor that speaks Spanish in Allentown to speak to everyone. And then we need to trust our citizens. The people of Allentown have all the passion and experience and intelligence that they need to bring about the change in the city that we want to see. We need to trust them to do it. So what are some of the things that I want to do? Within economic development, I think we need to do business retention programs. We need to work on entrepreneurial development programs. I think we can do a better job communicating as a city, making sure that our citizens are informed about what's happening here. I believe strongly that we need to employ an environmental sustainability plan for the city that would influence all departments. I think we need to work hard on diversity and inclusion. We need to make sure that Allentown's boards, commissions, and authorities reflect our city geographically and demographically. Right now, most of Allentown's boards, Parking Authority, the Shade Tree Commission, which I formerly served on, the Planning Commission, it's largely represented by the west end of the city and doesn't look like the people whose lives those decisions would impact. And then I think we need to be very cognizant and improve our housing policy. I believe in performance-based inspections. I think the best way to keep homelessness, I know, is a big issue for some of the folks here at LV for All. I think a couple great ways to keep people out of homelessness is to ensure jobs, which I'm the most experienced candidate in terms of economic development, but then also ensure that they're living in safe, affordable housing. Allentown has an incredibly old housing stock. We need to make sure that people across the city are living in safe housing.
You got about 15 seconds.
Perfect. So why me? I'm the most passionate and energetic and hardworking candidate in this race. I've got the experience and passion to do this. I bring people together. I'm a unifier. Again, speaking Spanish is a key need here. And the experience that I bring, the 12 years of experience working in economic development, progressively higher levels of experience in nonprofit, that's the type of executive experience that we need in Allentown. We don't need politics as usual. We don't need divisiveness. We need somebody who can bring us together and who has passion, energy, and experience to do the job here. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right, now, do we have any questions? It's the raise your hand option. Oh, Patrick Palmer, go ahead.
Hey, Patrick.
My bad. Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
yep.
You're on now.
Yeah. So real quick, I was just listening to some of what you were saying. So my question kind of comes to, I know you were mentioning like economic development and stuff like that, but one of the big issues that we kind of have right now is the whole police situation. Like, how do you feel about defunding the police or reforming the police or anything like that?
So I think every department in the city can do better. I think that goes for streets, that goes for Parks and Rec, it goes for community and economic development, it goes for the Allentown Police Department. I think that they can improve on the services that they deliver, the public safety services that they deliver. And I think that if you look at the track record of APD, they've been working on those improvements for years. They need support to do that. So we need to, instead of defund the police, we need to support their efforts to improve. And what I really like about what I've seen from APD, I'm unlike any of the other candidates. I attended the Citizens Police Academy this fall, got to know the interior of APD, got to know some of the officers, some of the leadership at APD. They're pursuing a data-driven approach to improvement. So they've invested in, I know that one popular idea is to have mental health experts attending on calls or on the service calls for police. They have invested in those crisis intervention folks already. I think we need to continue to work to get them the training that they need to provide that level of service in addition to standard police services. Again, I think that what I've seen from the police department is an organization that is acutely aware of national trends and acutely aware of how they can do better here to serve the people of Allentown. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, awesome.
There's two things, either straight.
All right, so we have two other questions. I'm going to start with Hillary Kleins. Go ahead.
Hey, Hillary.
Hey, Matt. How are you?
Great.
I know you're really comfortable talking about economic development, and we have the NIS in Allentown, which it's a unique, one-of-a-kind situation for Allentown businesses that can benefit from bringing their businesses here. My concern is I'm a long-term public education advocate, and I am deeply concerned about the inequities in our school district, and the economic development that has happened downtown has not trickled down into the community here at all. And you yourself said 85% of our population only has a high school degree. So we have one of the worst funded school districts in the entire nation. I think we're just ahead of Reading, but that's not saying much. So what my concern is, like, how does this, we have this economic development engine, but we have no engine to help our people actually succeed and get beyond the barriers that they've had for their entire lives. And, I do know that you send your kids to a private school, and that's completely your choice. And I'm glad that you have that option, but most of our parents make less than what you pay for tuition. So I don't know, like, what is your plan to help build the city back? Like, help educate our children, help prepare them for a more technologically oriented workforce?
So there's two pieces there. The first is that development of industrial sites and then development of office sites, those create tax revenue for the school district, right? And I know that just continuing to throw money at a problem is not necessarily the fix for that problem, but it does help get you there, right? So I don't know the exact numbers on the NIS, but if I remember correctly, when those tax parcels that are in the NIS area that have since been developed, they were generating approximately $400,000 of revenue annually for the school district in 2012. And that those same tax parcels are now generating about $10 million of revenue for the school district. So the NIS has been an improvement there. When you look at, I was looking at a parcel on Airport Road that is proposed, right now it's vacant. It's generating, I think, about $40,000 of revenue for the school district. It's proposed to, they're proposing a 275,000 square foot distribution center there, or built an industrial building that would be used for distribution. I used some comparables and sketched out that type of development would basically double, actually would more than double the income to the school district from tax revenue, from property tax revenue. So to my mind, when you can develop sites, particularly underutilized sites, there's tremendous underutilization of sites on the south side and on the east side, that helps generate tax revenue to the district. The other big piece that the district, and again, the mayor doesn't control the district, the city doesn't control the district, the school board does. One, we need good school board members, and that's a challenge to all of us, is to continue to find great school board members. I think there's some folks that will ultimately be endorsed by LV for All, but one is great school board members, and then the mayor needs to partner with a variety of entities. I already mentioned the partnership with the Workforce Development Board, or Workforce Board Lehigh Valley. It's the 85% that don't have a college degree now. They do have skills, and the skills can be developed through partnerships with our training organizations like Workforce Board Lehigh Valley. But the mayor also needs to be a partner with the school district and with the school superintendent and with the school board, because the school district is, in my experience, one of the most significant challenges to the city of Allentown and the people of Allentown accomplishing their goals in the region. So you don't have the luxury of not working with somebody that you may not get along with. The school district and the city of Allentown are joined at the hip in this city's success and the success of the people here. We have a responsibility to the people to get them the education that's required to give them a chance to succeed in the future. So it really be continued economic development, which continues to generate revenue and jobs for people in the region, and then partnership with the school district to lower the barriers to success for the district. And that's in large part for children, making sure that children have everything that they need to be successful within the district. I hope that covered some of it. That's like a 3-hour answer, really. And it's actually a days and months and years long answer. We have a lot of work to do in that respect, Hillary.
Okay. We have one more hand raised for a question for Matt, and that's from Josh Siegel. Josh, go ahead.
Perfect.
Hey, Josh.
My question is pursuant. So we're here at Lehigh Valley for All tonight, a really great progressive organization. Everybody who's running for mayor and city council seeking their endorsement. And my question is obviously pursuant to, I think, the importance of being a Democrat, right? You're running for the Democratic nomination. Everybody here is. And I guess my interest is, according to state records, in the last 16 years, it appears that you've been a Democrat once in the 2008 primary, and then in 2020, you failed to vote in 2017 in both the primary and general in Allentown, according to the state records, a year when our mayor was under federal investigation and then actual federal indictment. So for me, I think a lot of us take great pride in being Democrats. We believe wholeheartedly that the Democratic Party is the best vehicle to advance progressive policy that's going to improve people's material lives. So I'm just curious, how you can seek the Democratic nomination when you have a questionable history of being a Democrat or like affinity for the Democratic Party. It's an important thing. You're going to be mayor of the third largest city in the state if you win. So you'll be an incredible party leader.
So Josh, there's no question to my affinity for the Democratic Party. And I've been, before I was old enough to vote in 1984, I think I mentioned this the last time we all got together, I was furious at my dad when I was 9 years old because I thought we were all Democrats in the House and he voted for the evil, the original evil, he who shall not be named. I have voted as a Democrat for all of the years that I have voted in any election. My voting history in that respect is untarnished, and I've showed up at the polls as an independent. I changed my party affiliation to independent after the 2008 election when I went into economic development. Not necessarily because I had to, but I've always voted Democrat and always held those Democratic ideals close to the chest, but I changed my affiliation to independent at that time. I've always, again, I don't know what more I can say to you in terms of proof. If I need to show you pictures of me at rallies against U.S. involvement in El Salvador in the 80s when I was a teenager in Boulder, but I can confirm to you, and you can trust me that I'm a Democrat and have always been. I've always supported Democratic efforts and have contributed to Democratic campaigns, even as an independent.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so
Dave?
much. Oh, yeah, Rosemary, go ahead.
Yeah, my raised hand doesn't work. So
oh, okay.
I have a question.
Maybe the last question that we have for Matt, just because I want to make sure that we get everybody going, but go ahead.
And I'll say before you go, if anybody has, I'm happy to take any question from anybody. My email is easy to find, it's matt@mattformayor.org. You can ask me questions in any forum. If you want it to be public, you can just post questions to the Facebook page, Matt for Mayor. I'm happy to answer any question. But go for it, Rosemary.
Okay. I know it was partially answered in another question that I wanted to ask before that answer came out, but I was wondering where your children did go to school.
Sure. So my kids went to Grace Montessori as preschoolers and through 3rd grade. My wife she got her Montessori certification. We believed in a Montessori education. We kept waiting. We lived near McKinley at that time. And when my when Montessori is like broken up into 3-year blocks. So kids go to Montessori like 3 through first kindergarten, and then they do like a 3-year block of 1st through 3rd. And we were big believers in the Montessori education. My wife worked at the Montessori to significantly defray the cost to us of attending that school. We toured McKinley, had a terrible experience with the principal at McKinley, and ultimately we befriended some folks from Swain, were able to attend Swain school. My oldest daughter paved the way for my younger daughter to attend there. I am on the board of trustees of the Swain School, which is now part of Moravian Academy. My youngest daughter is an 8th grader at Swain. She is presently evaluating Allen. We live about 2 blocks away from Allen. She's interested in going to a bigger school and thinking about Allen. We didn't have a great experience with an open house that Allen conducted, so she's unsure about that. The other option for her is attending the Charter High School for the Arts in Southside, which is a public charter. That's where my oldest daughter is now. She is she's doing a literary arts program, feels very comfortable in that community. We've always felt that families make decisions about where their children go to school based on their available resources and what they can accomplish. I don't knock anybody I think there's lots of families for whom McKinley or Union Terrace, which we would have gone to, or Robb or Allen is the right choice. Allen might be the right choice for my daughter. We give agency to our kids in those decisions, and then we try to make it work. Right now, my wife teaches at Muhlenberg College, and because of that, there's a tuition exchange. So my youngest daughter could go to Muhlenberg for no cost. And of course, there's a few other schools around the country where she could attend at no cost, but she's looking at all options. And wherever she ends up going, we'll work with her to try to pay for it. But we do what we can to give our kids the best paths that we can do. And I hope that I can help everybody in Allentown give their kid the best path for whatever choices they might make. And ideally, to go back to Hillary's question, my hope is that we can work with a school district to make it a school district of choice for all families in Allentown.
Thank you. That was very thorough answer. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question, Rosemary. I appreciate it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. Really appreciate having you here. And if you want to just leave any of your information in the chat, then folks will be able to get in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Now, I know that he sort of went beforehand, but we did have a question. Julio, if you're still wanting to, I know you didn't get any questions when you were up speaking previously, but we do have a question from Uriel Trujillo, and that is it's in the chat. If you could respond to what you've done to benefit the most vulnerable populations in the city.
Oh, that's a good question. Great. I certainly would love to answer it. I personally done a lot. I mean, I helped thousands of people in my 20 years of being in council. And even before, I was always an activist before I became a council person. I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to run for council. Just like I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to run for mayor. I've been getting tons of experience in City Hall and I've been committed to helping people. I remember when I was over at Tent City in Allentown and interviewed some of the people that were living there, and that was an issue that I felt that I would work in making sure that we eradicate. I actually supported Cici and some other council members to make sure that we have at least $100,000 in the budget, last budget. But I also have provided over $300,000 in previous budget to work with blighted property and also help develop those properties. I mean, the Allentown Housing Authority, one of the things I tried to do, and I've been trying to do for a while, is to make sure that we get a first-time home buyer program for them. When I worked at the bank, I used to work in community development. I have 20 years of experience in working in community development at the bank and in other areas as well. And one of the things that I always tried to do was teach people how to manage their money and their finances so they can be able to buy their own home. That has been the American dream all along. But one of the other things that I did is we provided grants for people to make sure that they do that. I helped develop the CACOV first-time home buyer program translated into Spanish. And I also, which was good. And if you ever had an opportunity of looking at that program was actually very, very helped tons of people. I mean, I would say thousands of people in the Lehigh Valley, not only in Allentown. But that helped us a lot to make sure that we provide services for those who are most needed and most valuable in our communities. You know, I know Matt was talking about making sure that we have a Hispanic. Actually, he said person who speaks Spanish. I think we should have a Hispanic mayor. I think it's time. The Hispanics is the largest community in the city, and I don't think there's any more prepared and an experienced person running for mayor than I am. I've been chair of every single committee in council. I know how to save money. I know how to manage money. I know how to I know what it is to be poor, to be homeless, and to be hungry. And I know what, I have relatives that have DNA, drug and alcohol problems, mental health problems, and I have to deal with all those issues. I think, in my family, I'm the first one to ever graduate from high school and go to college, first one to graduate from college in my whole entire family. And I think that has given me the opportunity to learn from bottom all the way up to what I feel myself right now, to be able to provide those experiences to those who are less wealthy or probably disenfranchised in our city than some of the people who are actually making all the decisions. I think I get calls every day, every single day. I get a bunch of calls, not only from Hispanics. Hispanics, I would say, is the most calls I get because I speak Spanish and understand them. But I get calls from all people from all walks of life who need support, who need help. And I'm a busy guy helping all those people, but I think that's what I'm made for. And I've been given a great opportunity in this country to come from nothing and to be able to be what I am today. And I want to make sure that I continue to care for them. When we talk about racism, anti-Semitism, we talk about people who have problems and sexism and people who have problems with police brutality, all those things, I believe that we need to eradicate in our city, and I'm prepared for it. I know how to do it. I've done it in the past, and I think those are some of the things that we need to work as human beings, making sure that other people have a better life, and that we live this country and this city and this world better than where we found it. And that's what I believe, and that's how I've been running my life all along. That's why I've been reelected. For the last 20 years, because I think people see some of the things that I generally do. I'm not just running for politics, coming from another job and quitting my job and saying I'm going to run for politics. I've been doing it for years. Workforce Investment Board with Career Links. I've been community development for over 20 years. So all those things culminate to what I am today. And I hope that I get a chance to be supported by Lehigh Valley for All and endorsed. And I will not fail you. I'm not just talking, not taking the opportunity. I'm doing it for real, and I've been doing it. Thank you very much for the question.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So with that, we're going to be moving on to the next couple candidates here. We have two candidates that are running for Lehigh County Commissioner District 3. That's West Bethlehem, Fountain Hill, and part of Allentown. I believe part of Allentown. They're going to know better than me. I'm at large, so as long as you're in Lehigh County, I got you. But I'm going to start off by introducing who is running for Lehigh County Commissioner, Jeff McConnell. Jeff, go ahead.
All right, good evening, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can.
All right, awesome. I got one screen over here with everybody on it, and I have the camera over here. So I'm Jeff McConnell. I'm currently running for Lehigh County Commissioner for District 3. I'm originally from the Philippines, graduated from Liberty in 2000. I also became an Eagle Scout same year. A little bit about me. I enlisted in the Army a week before 9/11, and I served for 16 plus years before I was medically retired in 2018. I served many positions, and I also did a lot of things in the military. I was an equal opportunity leader, instructor, anti-terrorism officer, logistics NCO, master resiliency trainer, suicide prevention officer, and I also achieved my Green Six Sigma Green Belt. These positions led me to be a fighter for equality in the Army. I was there for the repeal for the Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And I was also one of the leads to train soldiers for transgender inclusion, to be an advocate for mental health and suicide prevention. I like to be personable with my stories. And in 2006, I was stationed in Alaska, and I actually attempted suicide. So I was on both sides of the fight. And it gives me a background to understand other aspects not related to my military specialty of communications. As a single father of 4 boys, 3 of which live with me here, family is important. My mother lives right next door, and she was the one that actually said, come home to Bethlehem once she heard that I was being retired. And you don't say no to your mom. So I come from a military background and love focusing on helping veterans, especially those going through the VA system. I have a neighbor that lives about a block away from me who never went through the VA system, and I'm helping him go through it right now with the paperwork and the whole system in large. And I also help my fellow vets that go through the Penn State Lehigh Valley system as well, where I was a president for the Student Veterans Association for 2 years. And right now I'm the vice president of the Global Student Organization. My vision for Greater Lehigh County is to preserve our natural resources, think outside the box to solve issues, aid those in need, utilize lessons learned from other counties, states, and countries to make ours great, and fight for common sense laws that benefit the individual and small businesses more than big businesses. I've been around the world, and I try to take a little piece of everything and make that me. The same goes for religion and words from everybody around me. So as a Roman Catholic, I also read other books from different religions, and I think that makes you a more rounded individual. Try to be as inclusive as possible, accept other people's worldviews. If elected into office, my focuses would be as follows: homelessness. One of my goals and one of my dreams is to create a utopia of sorts where we have sustainable living, little houses for homeless individuals, where they're able to work on the land and then also work their way out of homelessness, learn jobs, and then work their way out of there. And if you have more questions about that, you can email me as well. I'll put my contact information later. Mental health. That to me is very big. We've all heard stories of people going through bad episodes. So that's very big in my heart. I'll focus on education. As a person that's gone through the STEM field, STEM is important, but also we need to focus on non-STEM careers as well, because nobody's taking care of the plumbing if we're all focusing on science, technology, and all that stuff. But I also want to push on mentorship programs, because we have individuals who are not being focused on, that we need to push for mentorship. And I like to also focus on the low to mid income individuals, because those are the individuals that we need to go ahead and teach so they could learn and earn. I want to relook how money is spent, especially when it comes to policing. I back the blue, but at the same time, I want to be able to focus on education. Safety of all, diverging diamond intersections. I know I mentioned that last time.
You got about 15 or 20 seconds.
And also pedestrian bridges, roundabouts, clean energy. And as my slogan states, transparency for what we do, so our constituents trust us in the system. Hard work today is rewarded in the future. Communication amongst parties is vital to provide the best services that we can do to our constituents. Without togetherness, nothing can be built. And treating each other with quality is a human right. It should never be taken lightly. Thank you very much for your time and hope to earn your endorsement.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Do we have any questions, Jeff? Okay. Well, Jeff, you want to put your contact information in the chat if you have not already, and I'm sure folks will be able to reach out to you through that. Thank you so much for coming out. All right. Awesome. Okay. So next up, we have also running for Lehigh County District 3, Zach Borgie. Zach, go ahead.
How's it going, Dave? Thank you guys for having me. Before I get talking about why I am, who I am, why I'm running, first and foremost, Jeff, I'm so sorry you were at that time. I know we were running against each other, but if you ever need somebody to talk to, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll always be an ear for you to listen to. Okay, so like Dave said, I'm Zach Cole Borgie. I'm running for District 3 County Commissioner. And I'm not going to really get into the bio again since I already gave it to you guys, but what I am going to do is I'm just going to expand a little bit on my bio. The first being of me living and moving to the Westside Bethlehem when I was in high school. So when I moved to Westside Bethlehem, it was a custody agreement between my two parents, my mother and my father. And I actually stayed 1 week in the Marvine Pembroke housing development. The next week in Westside Bethlehem, white picket fence, pool in the backyard with all the toys I wanted, different wardrobes and everything. So I really got to experience the two different disparities to a whole. You would be surprised. The friends that I had in the Marvine Pembroke area were the ones that always brought me up. And to this day, all of them are either social workers, going to school to be a professor, and you would be surprised to the ones that were on Westside Bethlehem and where they are at now. With that being said, I returned back to the area. I was given back to my community working at the Northeast Community Center, formerly known as the Northeast Ministry. And I lived my life by a very specific quote, which was by Frederick Douglass. By the way, Frederick Douglass died in 1895, if anybody wants to remind Trump that. But the quote is, "It's easier to build strong children than to repair broken men." I live this quote very strongly. I have it tattooed on my body, and I've always lived that, even with my 3 children. But now I am looking to help. It's time to, now I'm looking to do something else. I kind of amended that quote from Frederick Douglass, where it's time to repair broken men so they can rebuild strong children. And the reason why I'm saying that is my main focus will be criminal justice reform. So I did a little bit of research here, and I apologize. I'm gonna be looking down at this. It's a lot of numbers. I'm kind of pulling my own little AOC here. So first and foremost, the average amount a day that is spent on a Lehigh, for a Lehigh County inmate would be around $78 a day, which breaks out to around $550 a week, leading to $2,349 a month. That's for one person. So let's just say Lehigh County, it can hold 1,352 inmates. If we just take 200 of those inmates that are currently in jail and not convicted of a crime in America, which means they are innocent until proven guilty, that would be $5,660 a day, $109,000 a week, and almost $470,000 a month, which if you break that down to an entire year, gives you $5,637,600. I know I can say 5.6 million or 5.7 million, but I want to make sure I have every dollar in there. Again, these are estimates, but it's pretty startling. So if we took that $5.6 million and we were able to allocate it, just a very small fraction portion of it, to something like Hope Village of Allentown, where they're trying to build houses for the homeless in the area, which a large group are retired veterans that serve our military or people struggling with mental health issues. A house that houses four homeless people would cost around $7,000. And then I factored in, I said, let's look at maybe $5,000 in household essentials total throughout the year. And if we looked at building 20 homes with Hope Village, using that money that we saved from the people stuck in jail right now, the 20 homes will only cost $140,000. The essentials for the 20 homes will be $100,000, which will bring us to a total of $240,000, leaving us with $5.4 million to focus on things like opioid abuse, youth programs, mental health awareness, and anything else that we want to do to improve our county. Now, obviously, Lehigh County, we are, like Dave was saying, we represent Westside Bethlehem, Fountain Hill, Catasauqua, East Side and South Allentown, as well as a portion of Hanover Township. And I would just be honored to receive your endorsement, and I look forward to any questions you have for me.
Okay, awesome. Actually, you came in right on the money there. That was, I was just about to cut you off. There you go. Do we have any questions for Zach? Okay. Well, then there you go. Zach, if you want to put your contact information in the chat, if anyone has any follow-up questions, I'm sure they'll be able to reach out. All right. Awesome. Thank you both so much. Okay. So that brings us, now that we're finally all the way east, we're going to hear from our Northampton County candidate for Northampton County Council, Lori Vargo Hefner. Lori, go ahead.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. First, before I even talk about myself, I want to say a huge thank you to all of you who participated in the past 2 weekends with helping get petitions signed. It was so essential for us this year, especially this year, so difficult to knock doors, and Lehigh Valley definitely took the lead in that. And I really appreciate everything that you've done. I'm running for county council again. I'm sorry, I saw my glasses on from work. I can't even think anymore. I ran 4 years ago because I wanted to make a difference. I didn't like the direction that the county had taken. We had an all Republican slate. The executive was Republican, all 5 at large, and it was going in the wrong direction. So I got involved to make a difference. And I ran on a platform of transparency, on protecting Graysdale, of preserving open space, and providing human services to all the constituents of the county. And after winning, I was able to jump in to do leadership in that area. I became the head of the Human Services Committee, was able to highlight every single aspect of that department. It's our largest part of our budget. We have the most departments, and was able to highlight and learn from every single department what we actually are doing and what they needed. We were able to fill positions. We were able to get them up to speed, especially fiscal positions, because in human services, a lot of those dollars are matched or provided from the state. And we had holes in staffing, that morale was low and people couldn't capture every dollar, and we couldn't provide the services that we needed to do. So that was accomplished. We returned Graysdale. It was being managed by an outsourced company. And the morale was horrible. We brought it back under county control and hired an internal leader. I feel that their survey numbers have improved since we've taken them back over. We still struggle with surveys, and Graysdale's always going to be on the table on the chopping block. And it makes me sad because it's the largest county-owned nursing home. It's the largest of its kind. The folks are so wonderful and do everything to take care of those people that have nowhere else to go. and they're scrutinized mercilessly by other constituents. So we're there to protect them and to support them and keep that functioning in any way we can. We also were able to buy the Human Services Building, saving the county millions of dollars over several years. And we were able to build a brand new state-of-the-art forensic center, which was sorely needed because the facilities we had were deteriorating. We were able to balance the budget for 4 years. We're able to keep the taxes low and also reduce the budget numbers. So I feel that we can do what we say as Democrats, that we can provide the services, that we don't have to raise taxes, and we can get things done. We've preserved farmland. We have more farms and open space than we ever had before, and we're going to continue to do so. We had to take on the challenge of elections, an unfunded mandate from the governor, and make sure that everybody had fair, safe, free elections, and we did so. And we got our results reported in accurate time. I'm trying to think, there's so much that we've done. Human Services is my bailiwick. I came in thinking I'm going to make a big difference there. Well, I've had to take on other projects and things that I don't know, like bridges. I know nothing about building a bridge. I didn't know anything about building a bridge. Now I do, because we had a failed P3 project started by John Brown to skim money away from taxpayers. And I was able to be the council person to sit on the GPA, to turn that around and actually get the project working and keep the money in the bridges and on the project and get it done in a timely way, because it was deadlocked and stalled. I'm running again for the same reason. I was able to serve as vice president. This year I'm president. I want to make sure that we're doing fiscally responsible, transparent, service-oriented government. That's what we could do. We are always the party that gets told that we're going to raise your taxes. Well, we haven't. And yet we've found more ways to bring services to the citizens of Northampton County than they did before. And I want to be able to continue to do that again. So I ask for your support. I ask for your vote. And I thank you all for being here.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much. If you can hear, the alarm is going off right now.
I feel like I'm speed dating. I always feel like I'm speed dating, and I hope at least I get a date, like a couple of bucks,
All right. Awesome. Well, do we have any questions for Lori? Okay. Very cool. All right, Lori, if you want to just drop your information in the chat, and then if folks want to get connected, I'm sure they'll be able to reach out. With that, I just want to do a final one over. If there are any candidates that are here that just want to say hi real quick before we get into the closing parts of our meeting that did not get a chance to say hi at the first part of the meeting, if you just want to kind of raise your hand and then you can introduce yourself. Oh, Chloe Sider, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chloe Sider. I'm the field director for the J. William Reynolds for Mayor campaign. Willie can't be here tonight, but I just want to say thank you so much for everyone's efforts during petition signing. Thank you so much, Lehigh Valley for all your events and for everyone's support of Willie. Have a great night, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, Linda Vega, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Linda Vega. And
oh, Linda, you're muted right now. There you go.
All right.
Sorry, Linda, that was my fault.
No, it's okay. I am running for magisterial district judge in the city of Allentown for District 31-101. I am a Democrat candidate running against a Republican. She did she submitted her certification nomination form, so it is official that we will be running a campaign. I just wanted to say hi, and of course, I'm looking for all the support I can possibly get. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And if you want to drop your information in the chat, folks can reach out. Okay. So let's see. With that, does anyone have any comments for the good of the order? All right. Anyone have comments that would ensure disorder? No, I'm kidding.
Dave, can I say something real quick? I
Yeah,
want to thank
sure.
everybody for putting their first and last names in and then responding to me when I asked them what they were. I appreciate that. It's nice to know who we're talking to and who's here. So if you could do me a favor next time when you come in, just ensure that your last name and your first name are on your in your information. If not, you could just if you don't know how to do it, by the way, just let me know and I can change it. So it's not a big deal. All right,
And
that's
if
all.
you don't tell him, he will make up a last name for you.
That is true. I will make one.
Okay, so we have a ton of fantastic candidates. I would encourage every single member of LV for All to reach out to the candidates to see what their different takes are on different issues, what their experiences are, because when we come back together next month, we're going to be voting on endorsements. We still have about a week left for the petitions. So if you want to walk petitions for people, reach out to those candidates. You can hit them up in the chat or using the communication that they sent in there. If you want to grab somebody else to go out and do some volunteer work, that's absolutely awesome. Let us know. We can see if we can get you connected with campaigns or get you some turf cut. Otherwise, what we'll do is everyone focus up. We got a great slew of candidates here. We're going to be able to push it through, and then come fall, I know we're going to have some fantastic people sitting in these positions so we can continue to advocate and fight for our community.
Just remind everybody, do your research for the next meeting because we're going to be voting.
There will be a quiz. Yes. All right. So with that, unless anyone has anything final, I just want to thank everybody and thank you for coming out and have a fantastic night. Have a safe drive home. I'm just kidding. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Go with that joke,
everybody.
He tells that joke every time.
That's my favorite joke. Okay.
I know. He's going to tell it until the pandemic is
I know,
over.
I'm getting ready for fatherhood here. I got all my dad jokes.
Another crappy thing that happened when the pandemic hit. That joke.
All right, guys.
Get your New Balance sneakers, Dave.
Yeah, my grass stained sneakers. All right, close the fridge, everybody. All right, bye-bye.
Take care.
Good night.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everything. Thank you, guys.
Good night.
Thank you.